I've done 30k Grand Tours, I've done 20k Grand Tours, and in today's video we're going to talk about £10,000 Grand Tours that you can buy and drive on a lovely road trip around a continent. All 6 of these cars are great for that purpose. Let's get straight into it. And by the way, I've got a new microphone for this video, so let me know in the comments down below when I start speaking with it in a second, what you think of it. Hopefully it's a lot better than my previous ones. Remember to hit the like button if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe as well if you. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's kick it off with a car that is highly underrated in my opinion, the Alfa Romeo Spider, the properly good looking convertible version of the Alfa Brera, which by the way is another great looking car but slightly less Grand Tourer-esque than this beaut. In JTS spec it comes with a 2.2 litre inline-4 engine which makes 182 brake horsepower, taking it from 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds, relatively slow, but if you've got a bit of cash beyond our 10k limit in this video, you could go for the V6 instead for a bit more grunt and better noise. Interestingly, the Brera was designed by Giugiaro and Pininfarina modified the design to make the Spider, which is pretty insane, hence it looks so good and won a bunch of design awards. The interior is perfect for a long cruise, typically Alfa in that it looks quite analog in the best way, and in fact it doesn't look too different to the inside of the GTV Spider that it replaced. Of all the cars on this list, this is the one I think will look the classiest cruising around the south of France midway through your Grand Tour. These start at around the £4,000 mark, and for £10,000 you'll be getting a 2008 model with around 50k on the clock. Owners do complain about poor miles per gallon in these, and the bonnet mechanism failing is a key problem owners consistently have with them, as well as hesitation from the engine at lower revs. Also watch for stretched timing chains. Next up we have a car that's not specifically designed to be a Grand Tourer but does the job of a Grand Tourer very well. It's the Audi A7, which comes with a 3 litre turbocharged diesel V6 engine which produces 241 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.1 seconds, and is the only all-wheel drive car on the list, helping with how well it wafts. It's effectively a fastback version of the A6 as I mentioned before, sitting in the executive luxury car class. It's this extra level of luxury that makes it so useful as a Grand Tourer, and though it might not be as good as an A6 for carrying luggage, the additional seats and doors compared with other cars on this list means that if you have more friends, you can have a more social drive around the continent. Yes, compared to some of the cars on this list, you won't have as much fun on a twisty mountain road, but you'll be eating up the motorway miles in a different level of comfort. £7,500 is the minimum you'll pay to get into one of these, and £10,000 will get you a 2011 example with around 100,000 miles on it. Serious problems aren't too common with these, but a noisy centre diff has been noted by some owners, as well as problems with rattling trim and some of the electrical features inside the car. Also, as it's an older diesel, ULEZ will impact some of the city folk. I spoke about the Mercedes SL63 AMG in a previous video on Grand Tours at under £30,000, but that's of course well out of our price range for 10k. But the R230 SL remains available with a V8 engine in SL500 spec. It's a 5 litre V8 to be exact, which makes 306 brake horsepower and managed 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds, matching the A7. Hear me out on this one. I think the R230 SL class has the potential to become a bit of an icon in its own right one day. It ran for so many years, from 2002 to 2011, and the shape is not a million miles away from the McLaren SLR. You have to also consider that ropeier older examples have also died over time, yet the best examples are still worth a bit of cash. I mean, lower mileage examples are sitting at around the 25 to 30k mark for a 20-year-old Grand Tourer. That's F-type money. Sorry, I've not actually focused on this car, but as I've spoken about it before, I thought I'd focus on that little opinion piece instead. And as I'm sure you know, it's a great looking car that wafts along nicely, if a little bit held back by quite a dated Mercedes interior. Ropey ones start at around £5,000, and 10k will get you a 2005 model with around 90,000 miles on the clock. There are quite a few known problems however. The active body control system has been known to leak hydraulic fluid, hard tops can gain age-related issues, and a crankshaft position sensor failure is known as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Quick reminder to let me know about my new microphone in the comments. It's sputtery smooth, right? I hope so. I haven't actually recorded that bit of the video, but hopefully it sounds good. And do you think I can make this same video again at under £5,000? If so, hit the like button. 1,000 likes this video, I will make that video. I think the 987 generation of both Cayman and Boxster looks better and better with time, and the Boxster S in particular offers great value for under 10k. When I toured Europe in my Skoda Fabia estate, I came across a couple of these with UK plates on doing the same thing, and I must admit I was a little bit jealous, as not only could they tour the continent in the luxury luxury you'd expect of a Grand Tourer, they could also enjoy the tight twisty mountain roads or take a trip to the Nürburgring like a sports car. If you go for a later model, you'll get the 3.4 litre flat 6 engine, which makes 290 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, which isn't too bad at all. That engine came out still with the 987.1 Boxster just a year before the 987.2 came out, so these are relatively few and far between, but you should know that the 3.4 block was actually one of the most known for dreaded bore scoring issues, which means the 3.2 shouldn't be overlooked, especially if it's had a strengthened IMS put in. And irrespective, you're getting a 997-911 interior car, which is crisper and more refined than the 986 generation Boxster, if maybe a little bit less iconic. These will run you around £9,000 at the bottom end today, so for £10,000 you'll be looking at a late 2006 3.4 litre model with around 100,000 miles on the clock. We're on to another big burly V8 now, this time attached to the BMW 650i from the E63 series, which came as both a convertible and coupe. I think you're probably better off long term with the coupe, but the convertible does look pretty cool with the roof down. Feel free to ignore me though, as it's just an opinion. So yes, it comes with a 4.8 litre V8 which makes 361 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.9 seconds. Not bad for a car with such sizable proportions. Genuinely, it's almost 5 meters long. Pretty crazy stuff. As a luxury Grand Tourer, it is focused on giving the driver in particular an amazingly comfortable time, so for its time it was very well equipped with all the tech you'd like on a luxury car of its age, including active anti-roll bars to make it as soft to drive as possible. The interior is also very nice and comes with cool features like a heads-up display, radar cruise control and voice control, all nice to have on a long journey, which show why this car was such a purpose-built Grand Tourer. The minimum you'll find these listed for is around £4,000, with £10,000 grabbing you a 2008 example that's done around 70,000 miles. Oil leaks are quite common, same with coolant. Lots of the non-engine electrics can also go wrong, like the heated steering wheel, but all in not bad on reliability from what I can see on forums. Taking the top spot, we have the Jaguar XKR, but specifically with the smaller 4.2 litre supercharged V8 engine that makes 420 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, matching the BMW. I say specifically because previously we spoke about the slightly newer 5 litre example of the same generation, which is a bit out of our price range when you hit 10k, considering the 4.2 litre starts at about that, and you'll be looking at getting a 2007 model with around 100,000 miles on the clock for that kind of money. So before the 5 litre block came out in 2009, this was the option for the more aggressive version of the XK. It was therefore pre-facelift, so it does look a little bit older, with slightly boxier lines than the super smooth post-2009 facelift models, and the interior lacks that now very common Jag rotary gear select that jumps up out of the centre console. It's such a strange car, as in some specs it can genuinely look like a boring granddad car, yet in others somehow it really stands out as a lovely Grand Tourer come sports car, and either way it is exactly the type of car you want for a long journey with insane waftability. That's especially because it's known to be quite reliable, with some owners putting over 200,000 miles on those engines, which is not bad at all. Corrosion is known however, but outside of that it's not overtly unreliable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to say a huge thanks to you guys for watching and to the patrons as well for their continued support. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that have been long-term supporters of the channel, I've got something very cool coming for you very soon, so watch out for that, as it's coming sooner than you think, as long as things get delivered on time. And if you want to watch a video on a bunch of Grand Tours at under £20,000 instead, then click up here and subscribe down here.